Ronald Reagan, he tweeted, would be ashamed of McConnell and Ryan and all the rest while this corrupt government establishes internment camps for babies. Every one of these complicit leaders will carry this shame through history. They have disgraced their country, brought dishonor to the party of Lincoln. With me now, a conservative congressman who described the separation policy as terrible, Congressman Roger Marshall, Republican of Kansas. Congressman, it was yesterday, I believe, or a few days ago, the president said explicitly, I can't just sign an executive order to stop this. And then today he signed an executive order to stop it. Was the president lying?
No, not at all. I think the president was much like a big ship sailing into the wind, trying to tack back and forth. He started down a policy direction. It wasn't working quite the way he wanted it to, so he tacked it over to this side. I think that you have to keep in mind the president's main objective is always national security and securing these borders, so he's going to keep that as his priority. Certainly he was concerned, as much like you and I are, about the children, and he's going to try to fix this problem as well.
If he was concerned about the children, why did he only act after several weeks after 2,600 children had been separated, a massive media outcry, people turned against him at Capitol Hill, and after he gave a speech the other day in which he said you have to take away the children to applause?
Yeah, exactly. I think there's some more facts that need to be reported. We went with illegal crossings coming across our Mexican border from 15,000 a month to 50,000 a month. This was becoming a crisis. This was becoming a crisis, and he was reacting to fix the crisis and keeping his priorities for national security number one.
I asked a simple question, and the question was this, which I'd like you to answer if possible. If the president was upset about separating children, why did he put a policy in place that separated children, not tell the truth about that being his policy, and then stick to it for 6 weeks while 2,600 children were separated and not change until an outcry happened?
I think he was trying to keep his priorities straight, which is exactly what he did, and then he's continuing to do that. If you would just know the president's heart the way I know it, he loves children. You saw what happened in Syria when the children were bombed with chemical weapons and how his heart responds to this. The president's intention was never to hurt families. His intention was always national security and border security. And then we had this situation arise, and he's addressing it now.
We have interviewed on this network, we've interviewed mothers from Guatemala and Honduras whose sons have been killed by drug cartels, who have fled 1,000 miles north, risking everything. Are they a national security threat?
I think that when you have 50,000 people crossing our border at the same time, that's a problem.
I'm asking you that question about specific...
I'm trying to answer it, Chris. I think that you have to share the rest of the story. The number of families that are opposing us families has quadrupled trying to cross our borders. So you're having people that are doing human trafficking, terrorists and cartel members using
Where is
young
your
kids
evidence
as
that there's terrorist and cartel? Where is the evidence of that? I have heard that. Where is your evidence for that? Where is an evidence of a terrorist using a child to cross a border? I would like to see some evidence of that.
Right. So I think what I would encourage you to do is go look at the kids that are under the age of 5 years old that are being in custody right now, and see how many of them were separated from true parents as opposed to from cartel members or from traffickers. So I think you need to do some more investigative reporting, and that's why I'm going to the border myself this weekend to sort this out. Yes, sir.
Well, Congressman, I would love it if either you or I could get into the facilities with 5-year-olds, but they won't let us into the facilities with 5-year-olds. And I really would urge you to talk to some of these parents firsthand to determine whether you think they're traffickers. And I would also say, don't you think traffickers and cartels, who of course have been trafficking people and running drugs into this country for decades and have tremendous power in Mexico and Central America, have better ways of people getting in than haggard Honduran moms at crossing the Rio Grande with 2 kids in tow?
You know, how can you explain that the number of families, people posing as families, have quadrupled? How can you explain the number of people asking for asylum has increased exponentially?
Congressman, I'm just asking, what is your evidence? You keep... Congressman, you keep using the word posing. Congressman, I'm just asking you, you keep using the word posing. You keep implying that these people are making up stories, that 5-year-olds have been coached, that they've been taken by traffickers. What I'm asking you is to present evidence that that is happening in any systemic way.
And certainly that was my questions for DHS yesterday, and they've reassured me what I just told you is the truth. And so I think when I go to there this weekend, I'll try to sort it out more. But why don't moms with legitimate family go through the proper routes? If they want asylum, why don't they go through the legal route where their children would be protected? Why would moms jeopardize, why would moms try to attempt to sacrifice their own children? Why don't they follow the law of our own lands?
Congressman, you have moms in your district?
Yes, I've delivered over 5,000 babies,
Okay.
so I have a few moms in my district.
You know how important that bond between a mother and a newborn baby is. You know what it would mean for your patients if they were ripped away while they were nursing their children. You know what it would mean for a mother if they were trying to protect their child from danger. I just don't understand why it seems so hard for you to empathize with the plight of these people that are coming for legitimate reasons. They are terrified to be where they are. And what I'm hearing from you is they're being irresponsible with their kids and they're faking it.
No, Chris, I have great empathy. Like the president, I have great empathy for these children and for the moms. I want to do everything possible to keep their families together.
Okay, so just the final question here. This is the president recounted about his appearance there. He said, had a great meeting with the House GOP last night at the Capitol. They applauded and laughed loudly when I mentioned my experience with Mark Sanford. I have never been a fan of his. The president castigating Mark Sanford, who lost his primary. There's 2 members of the House GOP caucus who have said that's categorically untrue. Is that true?
I heard a lot of cheers, I heard a few groans, but uncategorically, this president was supported. I don't know if we're going to have a blue wave, a red wave, but we're going to definitely have a Trump wave this winter. And if people don't hop on this Trump train now, they're going to be left behind. It was like Newt Rockne was talking to us last night, giving us a great speech going into battle. This Republican Party supports this president. I've never seen such engagement and support for a person in my entire life. It's just been incredible. It's like Yankees fans and the Yankees and Red Sox and their fans. They're just totally engaged with this president, and they're going to support him to the end.
Should voters, when they go to pull the lever and when they're thinking about who to vote for, whatever that name is of the congressional Republican candidate, what you just said is this is a fully united party behind the President of the United States, a raucous and robust support for him. Should they be thinking that really they're voting for someone to support Trump when they go and pull that lever?
I think in the same way that when Ronald Reagan was running for re-election, people were voting for Reagan. But I also think I can stand on my own merits as well in my own district. And Kevin McCarthy will stand on his 2 feet, and so on Steve Scalise will stand on his own 2 feet as well, that we are individuals. What makes this party great is we give choices. We can disagree, and that disagreement leads to greater decision-making process. And this president welcomes that disagreement. He welcomes that banter back and forth. So we're all in on Trump. He's going to be a great asset for us this fall.